Hi, today I'm reading an excerpt from the book, Loving Large. I'm reading from chapter 15 called Punching Bag. About 3 weeks after surgery, Aaron was bright, chatty, and funny again, reflecting back on the surgeries, hospitals, doctors, and caregivers at an appointment in Dr. Kirsch's office. His moodiness had faded away. He'd even brought up, with more than a little pride, how he teased me before his second surgery, that I was maybe more afraid than he was. I was too tender to banter on that subject, and he took full advantage. He told Dr. Kirsch that his relationship with me didn't fare too well on the day that the decision about the second surgery was made, and then, turning his eyes on me, asked, "But we're okay now, aren't we, Mom?" "Yes, son, we're okay." Homeschooling began about the same time. The vice principal and I had met to make arrangements to hire teachers to support Aaron's completion of grade 10 math, science, and French. She'd been enthusiastic about homeschooling, reminding me that because Aaron was a good student, there was a great deal of leniency at her discretion. Aaron got a pass for his phys ed credit, but the core courses had to be completed to a satisfactory level, or he'd lose the semester's progress and be held back. The future looked uncertain and dour already, and I didn't want him to face being delayed completing high school. When the tutors began working with him, we all realized, and perhaps were forced to remember, that his brain had been impacted by the surgery. He was exhausted and not able to focus his attention on the first few sessions, but he improved steadily over a few weeks. In addition to our follow-up medical appointments, we did some day trips, drive-ins, and summer release films. I finally took time to nest a little in our new house, adding a few pieces of outdoor furniture and having the boys' rooms painted the primary colors they insisted on. Pressed on by the desire that there would be some highlights for him, some good times, while Justin carried on with sports camps, Aaron and I did other things like the zoo, the mall, and a lot of restaurants. That summer, baseball games became a natural for us. It was tough to cram Aaron's long legs into a regular seat at the stadium, but we found that if I kept my legs tightly crossed and over to one side, my extra legroom became his, and he could manage. And the food came to the seats. Between innings at one game, we were standing just behind the accessible seating area, cramming our mouths with huge overpriced hot dogs when I felt stares, not at me, but at Aaron. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a man just a few feet away turn in his seat to face us. He was about 60 and was sitting beside an older woman and a 20-something woman who was next to a young man in a wheelchair. The young woman raised her hand to her mouth while staring at my boy and said, "Oh my God, oh my God," in a tone that was somewhere between horror and disgust. All four of them were looking back and forth at one another, exchanging whispered words and glances. I felt the heat rise in my face, not the sting of tears, the heat of anger. I looked at Aaron. He was completely aware of this. "Just let it go, Mom." He was looking away as if they didn't exist, eating his hot dog and staring out over the blue metal railing. "It happens all the time. I'm used to it." "You shouldn't have to be." It was so close and so blatant, the rudest gawking I'd been through with him. This felt like we were in the ring at a circus. Something defiant rose in me, emerging out of me. "What are you looking at?" I said loudly. Then, before turning, I looked directly at the man in the wheelchair. You know what? I would have expected better from someone who must get treated like this all the time. I touched the back of Aaron's arm and steered us into the crowd. Stigma was in our lives now. Aaron was managing way better than I was. He didn't entertain the questions, however polite. He rebuffed them unless a child asked. Kids were amazed by his height because they saw something else, because they didn't contrast Aaron to their own self-image. He was not different than them. He was marvelous. Thanks for listening.